Hello everyone and welcome back to another very exciting chess game from the chess history. This time we have Emanuel Lasker, the legend with the white pieces, and his opponent was a chess player named Broderson, probably an amateur chess player from Denmark. And this chess game was played in Denmark in Copenhagen in 1908, so this was from a 26-board chess Simul. Okay, so Emanuel Lasker starts the game with e4, and we have c5, the Sicilian defense, knight to f3, knight to c6, and then d4. And we have the open Sicilian, and g6, accelerated fianchetto or dragon. So we have c4. So this pawn structure was named after the Hungarian chess grandmaster Geza Moroczy. And this pawn structure can be played against the Sicilian accelerated dragon or fianchetto. It is difficult for black to push the d-pawn, as you can see, clamping on d5. So we have bishop to g7 and then developing the bishop and defending the knight. So d6, knight to c3, knight to f6, bishop to e2, and both players castled. Bishop to e6, f4. Lasker is expanding from the king side and he wants to maybe push the f-pawn and open up the position, open the rook. So an aggressive plan by Lasker, bishop to h6, queen to d2, and knight to a5, b3, defending the c-pawn, and knight is going back and wasting a move. h3, and planning kingside, maybe Lasker is planning kingside pawn storm with supporting g4 or defending on g4. Usually this move is a useful move, so knight goes back, and then we have rook from a to d1, and then bishop to d7. So maybe black wants to reposition his knight and retreating the bishop as well. And we see passive waiting moves by black. These moves are passive waiting moves. And then here comes Lasker decided to attack. He pushed the f-pawn f5, and Dr. Lasker wants to open things up. So this is also attacking the bishop. So bishop takes on e3, queen takes on e3, and then knight to g7, so relocating the knight, and then knight goes up. Nice parking spot for the knight. So knight takes on d4, and then capturing the knight with lifting the rook up, and here comes e5. Well, the more calm and more solid move for black would be something like e6, or maybe f6, but white already has a better position. As you can see, white has the space advantage and white pieces are more active. But here comes e5, and this move has a downside, and Emanuel Lasker seizes the opportunity and he played a very nice move. He pushed the f-pawn and he is sacrificing the exchange, or the rook actually. And in this position, Broderson got a little bit too excited maybe against the world chess champion, and he grabs the rook. Big mistake. So which move was better? Actually this f6 move is such a strong move. So black can play knight to e6, but then queen to h6. Maybe he was afraid because of this, because this looks extremely scary, but knight is defending on g7 and black has enough time to play king to h8 and then bringing the rook over to g8. But that would still be very dangerous against the then world chess champion Emanuel Lasker. I mean, this looks very dangerous. So if capturing the rook, white can attack the knight with the bishop. I mean, white has some very nice tactics in this position actually. So he can also check the king with the knight. We will see some very nice tactics. So I don't want to spoil anything. So we are going to see a similar position in this chess game. So we have e5 and f6. So black was too excited, like I said, maybe, and then he captured the rook instead of playing knight to e6. So maybe this is what he was thinking. So he can't capture the knight because this is attacking the queen, and basically black is a rook up, black is a piece up. But Lasker had a different plan. He didn't capture the knight, he played exclamation point, queen to h6, threatening checkmate, knight to e6, what else? If knight to e8, then knight to e7. And if not capturing the knight with the queen, black is getting checkmated. So you can see that after knight to e7, after knight to e8 actually, so this is disconnecting the queen and the rook, and black is getting checkmated or losing the queen and then losing the chess game. So in this position, knight to h5 is also not going to work because of bishop takes knight, eliminating the defender, and there is no reasonable defense in this position. So okay, let's check out this again. f6 exclamation point and then capturing the rook, but then queen to h6, and we see knight to e6, not knight to e8 or knight to h5. Those moves would lose very quickly. But then this time Lasker had also another plan. He had a lot of attacking ideas up in his sleeve. He played knight to e7, sending the king to the corner, and then here comes. Can you see the move? Why did Lasker checks the king and sends the king to h8? What would you do in this position if you had the white pieces? What was Emanuel Lasker's idea? It looks like the knight is defending on j7. So if attacking the knight with the bishop, then rook over is possible, and defending with the rook, so black can afford a piece. Lasker's idea was much more exciting than bishop to g4, rook lift. What a move! And can you see the threat? Well, black saw the threat, and black played g5. Of course, capturing the knight, capturing the rook with the knight is out of questions because of queen to g7, checkmate. And if let's play a random move or anything else, something else, pushing the pawn or pushing some other pawn, a ridiculous move, or maybe if rook to g8, doesn't matter, here comes queen sacrifice. So this was Emanuel Lasker's idea. Only move and then checkmating the king as the knight and also the pawn covers the escape squares. The king is getting stuck, and this is checkmate. Okay, so this was Emanuel Lasker's idea, sacrificing the queen and then checkmating the king. Okay, beautiful idea. So this is why Lasker checks the king and sends the king to the corner and then lift. He lifted his rook up, threatening to sacrifice the queen. So g5 is the only defense, but then here comes another very strong move. In this chess game, Lasker was not so interested in defending his rooks. Double rook sacrifice, bishop to g4, incredible chess. So he's actually threatening bishop to f5, and how do you defend? Queen to h7, checkmate. So queen to a5, but then bishop to f5. So black saw the threat, and then this is why he played queen to a5, so that he can survive maybe against Lasker. By the way, bishop takes, in this position, bishop takes knight is nothing special because of rook to g8, and black is going to survive this maybe. He can survive, but white is still better after rook to f5. So queen to a5, bishop to f5, and then giving up the queen. But then not rook takes queen, but pawn takes queen. Lasker is insisting on sacrificing the second rook, so rook over to defend. So Lasker was attacking the defender. So if capturing the rook, capturing the defender of the checkmate threat, so rook to g8, but then e takes on f7, and black is in big trouble. So this is winning for white. So actually queen takes bishop was the only defense, and then pawn takes and rook over to defend, but then capturing the knight, and then bishop takes on e6. If capturing the rook, then capturing the pawn, and black is in big trouble, black is in deep trouble. So bishop takes, and then knight takes rook, only defense. Rook takes on d4, the smoke is cleared and the dust has settled. White is winning after Lasker's continuous threats, Black should have resigned at this very moment, but he continued, and we witnessed some other nice instructive tactics by Lasker. So rook to g6, what would you do in this position? Actually, white has a very good move in here. Rook takes on d6, so black has a back rank problem. Rook goes back. If rook takes queen, then rook to d8, checkmate. So this time Lasker is offering his queen after offering both of his rooks. So rook goes back, what else? But now can you see another very nice tactic by white? Lasker played a very beautiful move, and he played rook to d8. The back rank problem still do exist for black, and after this move the Danish chess player resigned because of this possible continuation, some random move, and then checkmating the king as the rook is pinned. And what happens if capturing the rook, then deflecting the rook, getting checkmated? Okay, what a game by Lasker, and every move of Lasker was a threat, especially after f6. So let's make a quick recap. Capturing the rook but threatening checkmate, and then threatening to checkmate the king in 2 moves, and then threatening bishop to f5. As I said, every move was a threat. So queen to a5 but bishop to f5, and then queen takes bishop, pawn takes, and every move was a threat. So threatening to take the pawn, so bishop takes, but then knight takes rook, and then rook takes on d4, rook takes on d6, and finally rook to d8. What a masterpiece by Lasker. Okay, so thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time with more interactive chess games. Take care and bye bye.